Hello and welcome back to another reaction. In this occasion, Hataraku Saibo Cells at Work episode 9. Last time we saw an episode which was a lot calmer. I think it was more into the effects of the calm after the storm. Yeah, it's usually before the storm, but in this case was kind of after because we didn't get any serious sickness or a terrible attack from a parasite or anything like that. We just got the travel of our favorite or protagonist, Red Blood Cell, through the longest vein in the entire body, and she was successful in said trip. Why this was important? Because we know that our red cell is not exactly the best. I don't know how to say it. The best at directions, because yeah, she get lost several times in several other episodes, and in this one she finally managed to do the job all by herself. Of course, we know that this wasn't the case, that she had a lot of help from our protagonist, White Blood Cell, but who cares? She was happy and we were happy because that moment of happiness for her, because she managed to do this by herself, that was incredibly cute, incredibly adorable, and how our white cell just stay there and listen to every single thing that she said, even though he knew that everything that happened because he witnessed that. So yeah, it was adorable. It was an incredibly adorable episode, and it kind of pours fuel to the shipping flames, which is again weird thing that you start to ship to blood cells. But yeah, that's what anime makes to you. So yeah, it's still a pretty good anime nonetheless. Anyway, now I don't know exactly if we're going to see something terrible because yeah, we just have our calm episode, and now we're going to have our terrible and brooding episode. Perhaps, I don't know. But yeah, sure, let's just cut all of this and watch the episode, shall we? Okay, I'm back. I just watched a second time the 9 episode of Hataraku Saibo. And yeah, I did a little bit of research. I'm not doing that much because yes, there is a lot of concepts that we have already seen. And again, I'm not a professional medic or anything like that. I never study anything so similar unless you count the health class I took in high school. So yeah, it's not that much. My knowledge is not that much. Anyway, now we are seeing again a little bit of a retrospective episode, but now it was entirely the retrospective. We didn't got a terrible disease in the end, just like when we saw the Red Cell retrospective or history, how they are made. No, we just saw actually the entire episode was just that, because we now saw 3 different cells to be, I don't know how they reached the place they reached. In this case, our kind of main killer T cell, the very hard ass guy who punched our white cell in the last episode, just in the end. We saw the commander, the helper T cell, that is obviously the ones who commands the rest of the killer T cells and send them into action if it's necessary. And we saw a little bit of the other one, the regulator cell. Again, I love how this show expressed the different functions in little short paragraphs. We got an explanation again of what is the function in the beginning of the episode of the killer T cell when we enter the academy and how they are training. Very kind of boot camp that we saw here. That yes, the hardest commander, in this case our killer T cell, and the rest of the poor guys are just training. And we saw a very harsh training, like getting push-ups, pickups, and all of that. So yeah, it is unbelievable. It is a terrible training. I will not be able to even do I don't know, perhaps not even 1% of what these guys are doing. I mean, they are speaking about 3,000 and something repetitions of a certain exercise. So yeah, a pretty tough workout that we have here. Then of course we saw that next to the boot camp we have kind of a relaxation spot for the commander, in this case the helper T cell, and some macrophage I saw there, the regulator cell, and of course the dendritic. I think it was the dendritic cell, if I'm not mistaken. And we got a little bit more of an explanation of what the helper T cell really does. In this case, he kind of formulated strategies in case there is an invasion of antigens in the body. My guess is he notifies thanks to chemical reactions to which cells should be going to this place. That's how I see it. Obviously, we're not seeing a very strict militarized, I don't know, chain of command in here in which all the communications are electronic or something or another like that. Obviously, our body doesn't work like that, but yeah, it's a neat interpretation of what he actually does. Not only that, we saw another one that we have seen only kind of in the background. When we saw the commander, we saw the regulatory, I was saying regular cell, but it was a regulatory T cell, the one that really, I don't know, prevents the killer T cell to go overboard, is my guess, to go out of control. So yeah, I am still not sure what is her function exactly. Well, she is represented like a her, of course, like a she. I don't know exactly how she does this function, but she helps to keep an order into the killer T cells. My guess is, again, she released some type of chemical that tells the killer T cells to go back or something or other. Perhaps that is how it works. I don't know. Again, this is just mere speculation in my behalf in this moment. So yeah, we saw this kind of calm moment before the storm, because yeah, the commander just got hit by one of the naive cells thrown by the killer T cell that we know, and we saw the discussion. All the other naive cells are kind of surprised. Oh my god, he's screaming to the commander. And yeah, my guess, in a chain of command in a military case, yeah, they will be surprised if, I don't know, a colonel starts to scream at a general or something like that. So yeah, makes sense. So they are kind of scared, and this is when the dendritic cell kind of takes place, let's say. They are supposed to keep guard of the knowledge of the virus. Again, it sounds so preposterous, when I said it. But obviously my guess is he retained the information on which type of virus are attacking the body, and that's how they attack or something or another. That's my guess. Again, and of course, the interpretation of the anime is that he keeps taking photographs of everything, and he keeps the record of everything that has happened in the body, especially in the kind of immune system part of the body, the cells that go into this category. After we get this information from the dendritic cell, this is how really a narrative point in which, of course, we're going to see the past, because the dendritic cell is telling the other naive cells how the commander and the killer T cell became what they are now. And of course we saw that actually the killer T cell was pretty weak. This is some information that we got in the past when the influenza virus episode appeared. And yeah, we saw that the commander is not exactly, or wasn't exactly always this tough, hard cell that we know, but it was actually pretty weak back then. This is something that is portrayed in this flashback. Yeah, the hard-ass and the badass in this training camp was actually the commander, the helper cell. He was such a hard-ass and he was such a badass back then, because yeah, he didn't care about the rest of his companions. He just wanted to be the best and to protect the world in which they live. Of course, they don't call it the body or the human body, they call it the world. And yeah, he's using the res and he's training as hard as he can, and he's been kind of a douche in a certain point, but actually helping in the end. We see this, I guess, after we saw. This is ridiculous again because we are speaking about the human body. Uh, we saw, of course, the kind of barracks that are holding all our prospects of killer T cells, and they end up sharing the same room, and they end up practicing, and they are training. And this is when the commander saw, well, back then it wasn't a commander, uh, commander saw how hard the killer T cell was working, because he was training even at night when he was supposed to be resting, just as the commander. The commander went out to train. Of course, he's more skillful. He's a better fighter, let's say, in this episode. But of course, that doesn't change the merit of the amount of effort that the killer T cell was putting into this work. He was working and working and working. And yes, we met our regulatory or next regulatory cell too. She was kind of more in the background. There is not much history for her, but you kind of recognize her in a very quick notion. We keep going with the training, and we keep going with this until they grow like teenagers. They grow like teenagers, and they start to move forward in the training. Of course, we saw that the dendritic cell is still taking pictures, and he looks kind of a creep in this moment. I'm gonna be honest, it looks kind of like a creep. Obviously, this is a cell, this is kind of a representation of his job. But anyway, if we translate this into human terms, yeah, it looks kind of a creep. Anyway, we saw them grow, and we saw the final test, something that gave me a lot of text to read, and it was different because it wasn't the same that the narrator was speaking to us. So that's why after my first view, in the second view, I have to stop and read this little portion. And this is kind of the scientific explanation of as to what it was that they were about to face. It was kind of saying which cells are going to become the killer T cell, or naive cells, I guess. They are still a little bit behind to be killer T cells, and which one are going to be discarded. I guess this is a process a little bit more obviously checking. I don't know. What I have read is that this one, there are some that are way too dangerous for the body because they will attack everything within inside the body. Normal cells, other white cells, my guess is that all, which is something you cannot have in your human body. And others are going to be well trained. Let's say that they are going to just attack the antigens that the body has recognized as such. So yeah, it is an interesting concept. Obviously, it's not going to be a labyrinth. My guess is something more boring. But for the show, this was a great example as to how it could be if it's the inside of a human body was this microcosmos, which it is, but of course with kind of sentient cells, let's say. So yeah, once you translate this into this imagery that we get in the episode, it makes a lot of sense. They are training you to not attack the human body, to not attack the cells within the human body, just attack the antigens that are going to damage the human body. So yeah, a good example to that. And I love the little portion that yes, some of them fail because they attack cells with ridiculous hats or some weird thing in them, in the cardboard drawings, and of course all of them that fail, all the cells that fail to become they will fail to become naive cells. And then of course we saw the commander really pass with flying colors. The next regulatory cells also pass pretty easily. And then of course we reach to our killer T cell, the killer T cell that has been kind of the main cell of this type. We saw the struggle, and thanks to the commander, or the next commander, yeah, I'm gonna keep calling him the commander because it's a lot easier to distinguish these two. Uh, we saw how the commander helped him to pass, thanks to something that he heard during their training that they had together without realizing they had the training together, or at least the Killer T Cell didn't realize this. And of course, how the commander really helped him with the ridiculous name of the attack, of the secret attack. I don't recall the entire name, but yeah, it was something kind of ridiculous. That helped him to destroy the virus, and he passed. But he feels that was just dumb luck. But actually, I think the commander wanted to help him because he saw something else. Again, I'm speaking in terms of kind of the dramatic of the series, not the reality in the science, in the medical science, no. In the dramatics of the series. The commander saw something in this cell, and that's why he helped him to pass this test. Of course, our Killer T Cell doesn't believe that he deserved that pass, because for him it was just dumb luck. And we have our motivational speech near to a river, and this is when I'm not sure what that river represents, because thanks to the color, I guess they are close to the bladder, so that might be piss? Or it might be something else? I don't know. That is what it looks like to me. But now we know how he learned tough love. He hit back then, because he also was hit back then, very large portion of time, by the commander himself, because he needs to wake up and to see that reality that is around him, that they don't need the body, the world doesn't need a weak Killer T Cell. They need strong ones, and ones that really are going to be able to destroy the virus or the antigens that invade the body. And I guess this is the reason behind the tough love that we saw the Killer T Cell in previous episodes. That is my guess as to why the reaction he had in the previous one. And of course, we saw kind of a heartwarming moment after that they are going to become obviously the helper cell, because they offered him because he was the best. Probably that's why. Obviously, the selection is kind of different in the human body, I guess. And of course, we saw the regulatory cell to in the background, and of course the dendritic cell taking pictures. And he took exactly the best picture after the hit was launched. I love that picture. I love the composition of the picture. It's pretty neat. The face of the Killer T Cell and the face of the commander, yeah, just pure gold. Pure gold. Anyway, we saw that now the commander and the helper T Cell kind of saw all the commotion because they were watching something with the dendritic cell, and that's when they discover their old pictures, and of course they are completely embarrassed and they demand that he burn those freaking pictures. Again, obviously this is not something that happened in our real body, but I love the ridiculousness of the scenario that we got here. How the embarrassed cells and how they try to react and try to get rid of the pictures. But of course the dendritic cell is not going to give away precious memory, because that is vital information for our body, let's say. And of course, in the end, we saw just our regulatory cell working still hard to maintain the body. And remembering kind of, these morons are the same. So yeah, a very funny episode, a very cute episode, another calm episode, which again kind of scared me for the next few episodes of the series, because how hard are those going to be? Anyway, yeah. Now that we saw how some of the cells that we have in our body are created, I am genuinely curious to see how the macrophage cells are created. I am genuinely curious of that. Because yeah, those are imposing cells. So far, thanks to the anime, I kind of see them as such a badass, man. So yeah, I'm curious to see how those start, because so far we have seen them kind of in the beginning of every cell in our body. The red cells, the white cells, the killer T cells, the commander cell, well, the helper cell, the regulatory cells, because yes, they are involved into this kind of cells. So yeah, I'm genuinely curious to see these type of cells, how they behave, how they behave, how they were created. I don't know how they select which ones are macrophage, which one are white cells, which one are this, which one are that. So that's those. Anyway, yeah, I'm really curious about that, and I'm still waiting for an episode in which the brain cells are portrayed. So yeah, that is something I really want to see in this anime. I don't know if you're going to see that, but anyway, I think I really exhausted the topic of this episode. A great one. We learned more about the beginning of our immune cells. So yeah, fascinating episode as always. But yeah, the only thing I have to say is thank you for your attention, guys, and see you in the next one. Bye.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video, and yes, thank you so much for your attention, guys. And as always, if you want to leave a comment, that will help me a lot more. If you want to give me a like, that will help me even more to get on the top of the recommendation for YouTube. And if you want to share this video, that will help me even more. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.